Today against our matchup against the Baltimore Ravens, we saw quarterback Mac Jones of the New England Patriots go down with a bad-looking leg injury when his leg seemed to get twisted up at the end of the game. Now, initially there was some speculation as to what exactly was going on with his leg based on the fact that he did have to hop off of the field and could not put weight through that left leg. Fortunately, right now, we have found out that there have been x-rays and they have come out negative. Despite the x-rays being negative, however, there is some fear that he may have damaged some soft tissue structure, whether that be a tendon or a ligament in the ankle, and that is not something that will typically show up on an x-ray, but it would of course show up on an MRI. The position that Jones's leg went into is known as external rotation, and this can lead to something known as a high ankle sprain. Since some people may not be too familiar with the diagnosis of a high ankle sprain and what other structures can be involved in this position, I'm gonna go ahead and focus on that with this video. Welcome, sports fans. For those of you that aren't familiar with me, my name is Nick Gallo and I'm a doctor of physical therapy. And with my channel, I take a look at sports injuries and I try to explain them so that they are a little bit easier to understand. And I also go over the typical time frame for the athlete to return from that type of an injury. If you like this content, go ahead and hit that thumbs up on the video and subscribe to the channel because I will be making more videos in the future regarding sports injuries, rehabilitation, and other physical therapy related content. Also, if you have any comments or questions, please leave those in the comment section below. Now we can see right here that as Jones drops back, we see that he's being brought down to the ground and that left foot seems to just get twisted up underneath of him. Now here I have a model of the foot and ankle, and so the ankle is of course formed by two long bones in our lower leg. The first one being the tibia, or also known as the shin bone, that's going to come on down and form the medial or the inside portion of the ankle. Then as we go towards the outside of the leg here, this bone is known as the fibula, and that's going to come down and make that lateral or outside portion of the ankle. As we look further inside the model here, this bone is known as the talus, and all three of those bones together make up what we know as the ankle joint. We of course have structures that are known as ligaments and tendons that are located on the lateral or outside portion of the ankle, as well as the medial portion of the ankle as well. And typically when someone has damage to those ligaments, that is what we call a low ankle sprain or a typical ankle sprain. The position that a lot of people associate with a normal ankle sprain is when that ankle rolls in this way, but that's not what we see in this video. Now we can see here in the video that as he's being brought down into the turf, we see that that lower leg just goes through an aggressive twisting motion that places a lot of rotational force at that ankle. And when someone goes down in this sort of a position, this can put either sides of the ankle at risk. It looks like in this position that if one side were to be affected, it would be more so the inside portion, but any type of twisting at the ankle can absolutely affect the lower ligaments. As we move up the lower leg, however, there are a few ligaments that are really affected in these twisted positions, and these are what we know as the high ankle ligaments and what ultimately leads to a high ankle sprain when these ligaments are affected. The one that is actually located on the front here is known as the anterior, which means the front, inferior meaning low, tibiofibular ligament, and the main function of this ligament is it's actually going to span and actually hold the tibia and the fibula together just like this. Then as we go on to the back of the model here, there is one known as the posterior, which means that it's towards the back of the leg. Inferior, once again meaning low, tibiofibular ligament as well, and it has the same function as the anterior, inferior, tibiofibular ligament. It's going to keep the tibia and fibula together. There is of course something else known as the interosseous membrane that's going to span the entire lower leg and just keep those bones from going away from each other or separating. So as you can see in the model here, that if there is any rotation in this lower leg, it's going to separate these two bones here. It's going to separate the tibia and the fibula. So anytime somebody is going into that rotational force and it's going through the lower leg like that, these structures are absolutely at risk. And it sounds like as of right now, this is suspected what is going on, but of course the gold standard to determine this would of course be the MRI. Any type of rotational force can of course cause damage to the lower bones here. So you have the lateral malleolus, which is the distal end of the fibula, and then you have the medial malleolus, which is the distal end of the tibia. Fortunately for Mac Jones, that has already been ruled out via x-ray. There are of course a couple in-clinic or on-field tests that can be done to determine if somebody does have a suspected high ankle sprain. The first thing what we can do essentially is squeeze the bones together, and this is going to put pressure on that interosseous membrane. And if that puts pressure on that membrane and the person feels pain, then this means that this is consistent with what will be believed as a high ankle sprain. Another one that can be done is where the person is sitting down and you're going to essentially place that rotational force along the foot there, and that's going to work to separate the two bones again. And once again, if this is a provocation of pain, then that also makes us believe that there is a high ankle sprain. And of course, finally, what we can do is if we feel like these structures have been damaged, with most injuries, we can of course palpate the area. So they're going to basically press on the ligament in the front and the back, and then of course up and down the shin there within that interosseous membrane. Once again, if pain is provoked, then this is a positive test. Now, if this is a full-on high ankle sprain that Jones is dealing with, typical time frame for this can be anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. It really depends on the person and of course the degree of the sprain. If we get somebody like this in the clinic, obviously initially what we're going to do is all about pain control and reducing the swelling to the area. Then as the person starts to feel better and they progress with their doctor's visits, we can start to work in light range of motion exercises. Then finally, when appropriate, we're gonna work on weight bearing, strengthening, and then progress them to sport specific movements. But of course, every case is different and it really is just going to depend on how he progresses. Fortunately for Jones, it seems like they have ruled out the serious fracture, but we're going to need to wait and see the results of that MRI to determine an accurate time frame. If I happen to hear any updates regarding his case, I'll be sure to update everybody in the comment section. Also, if you happen to hear something, please let me know as well. And that's it regarding Mac Jones's most recent ankle injury against the Baltimore Ravens. I do wish him luck moving forward. Hopefully we get some good results from that MRI and that he's back very quickly. Once again, if you like today's content, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel because I will be making more content in the future. Thanks for tuning in and I'll see you next time.